Okay, testing. Test, test. Okay. Uh, yeah. So like my group's like my graduation project is called At the End of Time. So what is it about? Well, it's about a painter who's like grappling with like dementia. Okay. Grappling with dementia. So oh, ini title. Okay, never mind. Okay. So like the backstory, like we were like really inspired by like Caretaker's like album, like At the End of Time. Well, everywhere at the end of time. So that's what it's called. And it's about, well, music that sort of like describes like Alzheimer's, dementia, and like memory loss. I sort of like had like this connection with like my great grandmother, like who well, not recently passed away, but like 2 years ago or more like passed away. And like as like I grew up like from childhood, like I could see like her sort of like degrading in terms of my memory. At first, like she remembered me really well, and then at a certain point, like she does not remember me at all. Okay, so that was like the concept. Here's like a few like references that we took for the overall like story. I'm not quite sure if you guys have seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a really great movie. It's about, well, sort of like memory loss in a way, but it's like how people like alter memories, and also like a short film called Memo. I thought that it was like really nice, so we took inspirations from that, especially this like I guess like the VFX, like certain parts of it, I guess. Uh, Here's like some like concept on like the characters, like references. Albert, which is the main character on like the film, and also like Delilah. Here's like a few like concept art that like we made, and also I guess like the scene list that we produced. Yeah, here's a few more references. The general location is Europe, wanted to be France, so here's like layouts. I'm gonna like skip over like a few parts of this. So like production, okay, yeah, we used Blender for the entire like animation. At first, it wasn't so like we started out using Unreal Engine as well. However, okay. However, certain things, such as lighting and a few details, like were not up to my standards, and like I felt that like I wanted to create like something that looks quite unique. So Blender was like my only like choice at the time to create something that was like really nice. Part of it was that Blender was like a lot more open in terms of community. So there was like a lot of I guess like openness to like Blender when it comes to like learning, whereas Maya, like it was quite like gatekept, I guess. Okay, hold on. It's like, so here's like a few like things that like we modeled like through like Blender. Like a few scenes as well, and like materials and textures. If you're like wondering like how like we like achieve uh I guess like certain things in like the like film, especially what was it called, the texturing, like it was all done in Blender. And through this, like I really thought that like Blender is such a like powerful tool. I get that like Maya could also like do like things that are like similar towards this, but the intuitiveness of Blender really like sold my choice to create like my animation through here. Yeah, like even cloth simulations was done through Blender itself. And there was like quite a lot of things that like I struggled and like grappled in like Maya, and like I couldn't like have like any other choice when it comes to like certain things like this, like either moving towards like Houdini, where it's I guess like another learning curve that I need to like learn. Whereas through Blender, like I was able to create this like really, really quickly and like make it look great and like seamless. Yeah, the animation was done through Blender as well. Yeah, most of the things that we did was like in Blender, but at the time, like before this, it was quite different. Like we had an entire like scene composed in Unreal Engine first through of as like what was it called, pre-visualization. So like we didn't know like what kind of like uh scene we were like trying to like make at the time, and like it was kind of like hard to, I guess, like concept the lighting and like find references for like the lighting itself. So we used Unreal Engine to I guess like do that pre-visualization and like see the project through. After that, a lot of like things happened, and like a lot of like time constraints that like sort of like held us back to like actually creating like this project and stuff, because well, part of it was that like there was like a lot of like things that like I needed to learn, but like very few resources that like was available to create the things that like I really wanted to create. So yeah, uh Blender like really had that like community aspect towards it, and I was like able to find like resources that like I need to create the things that like I want to imagine. Okay. Okay, here's like few like this was like during like production, I guess, like finding like references to lighting and like the scenes and stuff. And like that's like the scene that like I guess like we came up with. Um yeah, for the lighting itself, like at first like uh I didn't really believe in like the software itself for Blender. Like I thought that it was like quite bad. Like I thought like it was like a really bad like lighting engine. But like after like a few tests that like I did, like a few convincing results, as well as like trying to like calculate the render time for like each frame, I was like really convinced that like this software could actually take me throughout like the entire like project. Yeah, creating like scenes like this, uh for me in other softwares it was quite challenging, but in Blender it was really, really easy for me like to create and also like master like the lighting as well. um yeah, in my I guess like course curriculum, well, we're mainly taught Maya, I guess, for the entire like 2 years. Uh, and going into this route, like definitely does scare a lot of the professors. And I really needed like that like sort of like validation from like the professors themselves, like to create like something like this. And it was quite a challenge. Like it took me around like a year to convince them. Yeah, usually making something like this with the lighting, the textures, all of those textures are like in 4K, and even like the rendering was like in 4K. Creating like an image like this usually takes around like an hour per frame per picture. There are 24 frames in 1 second for an animation, as you might have known. And yeah, that takes a lot of time. However, in this scene, with like careful like optimizations and like knowing the render settings and like mastering like the render, this scene only took a minute to render. with full compositing. And I advertised this sort of to like the professors, and they were like really convinced that yeah, it was like a software, I guess, that can be used other than Maya and like Houdini. Here's like a scene of like the gallery again, with lighting and optimizations. This didn't take too long to render as well. And with fully like, so this was my first ever like scene that I created in Blender. As you can see, there's like quite a lot of like foliage like in the scene itself. And even in Unreal Engine, it could have been like quite like demanding and when it comes to like rendering like these like certain things with shadows and like accurate like ray tracing. In Blender, I don't know how, but I managed to shave the render time to like 2 minutes ish. Yeah, a lot of like these assets that well were made like in Blender. Some were made in Maya, uh, and I guess like I don't know. Yeah, it looks great. So like post production editing. So like editing, nothing fancy here. I did it in Premiere Pro for both like music and I guess like video editing. Here, I created like the music like through BandLab, and like most of like the VFX so far that I did was done through After Effects. Here's a poster that I made, I guess. And yeah, that's basically it for my entire production document. Yeah, I guess. Oh, oh yeah, Q&A. Like, do you guys have questions or like why Blender in general?
Any questions? No?
Why, how, what, when,
Who?
where?
Korea.
Yeah, Korea.
No questions? Any questions for animating in Blender?
Yeah, or
Animation in general?
VFX.
Or PFX?
Yeah,
Use Blender.
yeah, definitely. Oh, so okay, Blender technically, right? It's not a professional
Not yet.
software. Well, not yet currently where it stands right now. So a lot of like professionals in industries like they don't really like encourage like the use of like Blender. Some indie studios still will use a Blender to save like money, but most industry leans towards Maya and Unreal Engine, Houdini, and other softwares. What?
No.
Okay. So for Blender, like for me, like it suits my needs. Like don't get me wrong, Maya and like other softwares are still powerful, but for me, like an indie student, it just really suited my needs. And it was free as well, I guess. I don't have to spend a dime on it. Um, and yeah, with this sort of like power, sort of really sold me into like the software itself. And I believe so that like this software could really be used in more professional, more bigger like studio environments, like as time progresses, as the community also increases in numbers. Right now it's like really trying to like catch up with those industry like needs and like standards and stuff. So like with the introduction of like AGX and like I guess like well color and new updates like every like single month, I felt that like well this sort of like software could actually like accelerate like further. And yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, um,
we use different softwares. He mainly uses Blender,
yeah,
and I use Unreal Engine.
but
So-
yeah, but I did use Unreal Engine for my workflow. So like the scene in Unreal Engine was meant as a pre-visualization. So the scene that I have here, I don't have the picture at the moment, but back when I was like doing this in Unreal Engine, it sort of had the same like feeling, the same scene, the same composition. So you know, sometimes like we can't like we want like a fast like result. Like we want to see the lighting, we want to see like the rendering, how the blocking looks, how the composition looks in the final like result. And that's when I used Unreal Engine to visualize that concept that I had in mind and like create a scene really, really quickly so that I can test like if this angle works in my animation or if this lighting works, if this like sort of like color works in my scene, in my 3D scene. As you might know, like I guess like making animation is not that easy.
No.
Creating like a scene takes around like, I don't know, for my scene here, like it took me like an entire year to like
Compose.
sort of like compose, like texturize, model and everything. Yeah, a lot of time constraint happened. And without that pre-visualization, like it could have been a lot worse. Like I wouldn't know what to put into my scenes and stuff. And I guess like that's how I balanced it. So like what happened was that like I recreated the entire like Unreal Engine like environment over to Blender. And you can like also apply that to like any other software as well. So like you can pre-visualize it in like a software that's like a lot faster than like rendering, like Unreal Engine, and then import that sort of into Maya or Houdini or whatever like software that you want to put as the final rendering sequence. And yeah, that's how I guess like I balanced like Unreal Engine and Blender or any other software in general. If you
Does that
want to
help?
know like how to create like compositions like this, like how to like learn like lighting, I suggest like you guys like try photography. Yeah, that's one way like I created like images like this. I guess like learning from like other people as well, like Pinterest or just following your favorite like creator that creates like all of these like wonderful like photographs or like scenes, and you get sort of like inspired to do something similar, and eventually you'll get some, I guess like scenes and shots. Well, they're like this or this.
Touch grass.
Yeah, touch grass. Go out.
Step out of your computer.
Have a camera.
You have a camera. Do photography.
Do photography. And yeah, that's it. Any more questions?